So the Falcons obviously have another tough game coming up this weekend. They're going to be at Mercedes Benz Stadium with the San Francisco 49ers coming in. And if you look at all the defensive statistics for the 49ers, they're like number one in everything. Take whatever you want, rush, pass, this, that. They're number one in everything. Their defense has been outstanding, this year. So that's going to be tough to try to come up with a victory this weekend. But look, it's same old formula, right? Control the line of scrimmage, make some plays, run the football effectively, and you're going to be in every game in the NFL. Like that's literally, you don't have to get too more outside the box on all that kind of stuff. So, but I will say this, though. Once they get through the 49ers, the schedule does start to open up a little bit, okay? They'll be in Cincinnati the next week. And look, Cincinnati's got a couple of wins, but they don't look like the team that was the runner-up in the Super Bowl last year. And by the way, they're averaging almost a touchdown less scoring offensively this year than they were last year. Now, Burrow's got some big numbers, but Jamar Chase, for instance, he's got some really good numbers, but he's literally about half his yards per reception than he was last year. He was like 19 yards per reception last year. He's like 10 this year. So while he's got like 30-something catches already, quarter of the way through the season, his yards per reception are not big like they were last year. He's not that huge downfield threat like he was a year ago. And like I said, they're scoring about a touchdown per game less this year than they were last year. And defensively, they're really not changed as far as their scoring defense goes. Then after you get on the road, and again, I know it's on the road in the NFL, but you don't feel terrible about that game. Then you look, home with Carolina and then home with the Chargers. And then the Thursday night game, which will be at Carolina on November 10th. Okay, so after you get through 49ers and Cincinnati, 2 of your next 3 games are against Carolina. Well, they just fired their head coach. If there is a team that is worse than the Atlanta Falcons, it's them. Oh, yeah, don't look now, but they just put Baker Mayfield, who's going to miss like 6 weeks. So, again, that experiment hasn't worked out very well. They fired their coach. So both of those games are certainly very winnable for the Atlanta Falcons. You mix the Chargers in between, they're up, they're down, right? I mean, if you look at their numbers, they're not scoring at the same level. I mean, so I'm not telling you it's going to be easy, but, they've not been any great shakes this year. And then it's the Bears and then at Washington. Well, the Bears pass it less than the Falcons, and they're really mediocre. And the Washington, whatever they're called now, the Vagabonds, the Washington Vagabonds or the Washington Gavones or whatever they are nowadays, that whole experiment isn't working out. Carson Wentz has been a disaster. So, look, I'm not telling you the Falcons are about to go on a 5 or 6 game winning streak. But given how they've handled their business in this part of the season, there are certainly some wins that are very much right there that let's talk about a couple quick things here. Let's sidebar for just a second. Did you see that Deion Jones is going to get activated? He's going to start practicing this week. And according to Mary Kay Cabot, who does a great job covering the Browns for the Cleveland Plain Dealer, they think he's very much going to play this weekend. Wow, isn't that amazing? He just miraculous. So just random happenstance, coincidence that all of a sudden, as soon as he gets traded, he's back practicing and probably going to play this weekend. Oh, okay. Oh, his arm's not broken? Oh, okay. Anyway, that. We'll hate on Mariota a little bit later this week because I've got some fun next-gen stat numbers and stuff like that, for all my Mariota fans out there that think he's the second coming and all this kind of stuff. The metrics and the numbers don't really kind of add up that the Falcons are winning in spite of them. But okay, so now we've sidebarred. Let's go back to the schedule and everything that's out there. But there are certainly over the next several weeks through the look. Then you got the Pittsburgh Steelers. You could make a case right now. I can't believe I'm about to say this. You can make a case right now. The Steelers are the worst team in the NFL. They are the worst team in the NFL. And poor Mike Tomlin, may end up with his first losing season ever this year. But the Steelers are a hot mess. And then it's the Saints. So, look, we looked at this Falcons schedule and at the beginning of the year kind of wondered how it would play out. And this is the beauty of the NFL, right? Like you make proclamations and you think you know some things and this, that, and the other. Then you get into games and, things start to happen. But if you look at the Falcons schedule, This is going to be a really tough game. 49ers are a top-tier team. They were in the NFC Championship game last year, right? Their defense is outstanding, and no shock that they're lines of scrimmage. But, they're dealing with some injuries. We'll get an injury report a little bit later this week. We'll see who starts to practice Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, right? And again, you don't practice on Friday, good chance that you won't, be around. We'll see today if Kyle Pitts is out practicing and things like that. But certainly the schedule starts to open up for the Atlanta Falcons. There are some teams that you could certainly say are not as good as the Falcons right now. Panthers aren't as good as the Falcons right now. I don't think the Bears are as good as the Falcons right now. Washington probably not as good as the Falcons right now. Pittsburgh not as good as the Falcons right now. So this is their stretch to make some hay. Because at the end of the year, look, in New Orleans, that's always a wild swing game. At Baltimore, Christmas Eve, that's going to be really tough. Arizona at home, look, they're going to be fighting for a playoff spot. They're still a very talented team. That's going to be tough. And then home with Tampa Bay, never going to be easy. And, that may be Tom's final regular season game that he ever plays or whatever like that. So the end of the schedule, not real easy. The beginning of the schedule, not real easy. But you get through this week and things start to open up. And then, the Falcons will mix in a bye week and all that through the middle. But over this next handful of games, if the Falcons are going to kind of find some wins and stay in contention a little bit and make this an interesting season, after Sunday, it's going to be over this next 4 to 5 week stretch because they can certainly beat Carolina on the road or at home. They can beat Pittsburgh. They can beat Washington. They can beat Chicago. Doesn't mean they will. Doesn't mean that they will beat those teams, but you don't feel like you're mismatched or you don't feel like that they're going to overwhelm you or anything, right? You don't feel like that those teams, are going to just, take it right down the throat of the Atlanta Falcons and just, it's a complete mismatch. If everybody's healthy for the 49ers, this feels a little mismatchy, okay? But look, the philosophy of run the football effectively, control the line of scrimmage on the offensive and defense side, that's your winning formula. That's how you win. And dare I say, we have an advantage on the sidelines now. We didn't have an advantage on the sidelines with the last regime. Not at all. In fact, we had a disadvantage most weeks on the sidelines with the last regime. So, again, the one-score games and the record and what they've done and what Arthur's been able to do coaching them up, it's all those are all the little sidebars as to why you say, okay, Falcons might find themselves the ability to maybe start to, accumulate a few wins here and there. And I know that's going to upset we want a top 3 pick, we want Will Anderson or Stroud or Young or whatever like that. I get all that. But as I've tried to explain to you for the last, 6 months, Falcons are in the business of winning football games. Players want to win, coaches want to win, GM wants to win. I'm telling you, I understand that they won't be measured by what their actual win total is this year. But if you're one of the dregs of the universe, owners are not going to sit by and watch their franchise be the laughing stock of the NFL. You're a 1 or 2 win, 3 win team in football. You're 2-15, 3-14. You're one of the laughing stocks of the NFL. Owners aren't going to sit by with all that. Hell, the Panthers are only 1-4. It's not like that they're, again, I know they're not a very good franchise and they haven't been very good, but owners aren't going to sit by and just let their franchise just go in the crapper like that. Their decision-making may not fix what their problems are, but they're not going to let these guys just go in the crapper for all of it. So good news for the Falcons. You get through this week, things start to open up, and maybe there's a chance to accumulate a few wins. All right, thank you so much for making Hittin' Hard with Jon Chuckery your first listen every day. Make ATL Day Ones your second listen every day. Tanitra Batiste, Jarvis Davis, talking about all things in the heart of the city of Atlanta. Free and available on our YouTube page at Locked On Sports Atlanta. Hit that subscribe button. Leave us a comment. Of course, you can find us. We are free and available all your favorite podcast platforms. You can download us anywhere. Check us out. Spotify, Odyssey, whatever your favorites are. Download us for free. Leave us a 5-star review. Roku and Amazon Fire. Check us out on those platforms as well. You can find all of our updates and everything there as well. And then, of course, give me a follow on my personal Twitter page at JMCH316. Back with you tomorrow. This has been Hittin' Hard with Jon Chuckery, Locked On Sports Atlanta.